Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another pregnancy update. So I've obviously filmed a couple of these over the last few months. I haven't been doing them weekly because I feel like there isn't enough really to talk about, and I don't really have appointments every week either, and I don't want the videos to sort of get repetitive. So I kind of only seem to film something when there is something that I need to talk about, or like a milestone that perhaps that we've hit, which is today's video. So currently, as the video is going up, I've just hit 24 weeks. So we've hit viability finally. I feel like it's a stage of pregnancy, just like 12 weeks in the first trimester, you try and sort of want to get to. In the second trimester, it's 24 weeks. So I feel really happy that we're here. And I've had a few appointments, some symptoms have crept up as well, had some cravings, etc. So I thought the last time I did a pregnancy update was 20 weeks, so I thought it was time for a new video, just to run through a few sort of updated things with you really. So as always, if you do enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, I would love to have you as a viewer. I'm getting so close to 1100 subscribers, so there is just a couple more I need to get to be able to hit that. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed and you are into like motherhood, lifestyle, pregnancy, those kind of content, then hit that subscribe button, completely free to do so, but it really does help me out to achieve my goals. But without further ado, I think we should get into today's video. So in general then, really, like I was saying, the last video that I filmed was around 20 weeks. So it's been a good 3 to 4 weeks since I filmed that. So as like a general update, I'm feeling okay. I'm not feeling great. There are quite a few things physically and mentally that are worrying me and that I feel like I'm struggling with. So I've been feeling a little bit under the weather again, both physically and mentally. I'll go into a bit more detail about that, you know, when we talk about symptoms and things. But I feel like as the pregnancy progresses and things are starting to happen like they did in my pregnancy with George, which resulted in a premature birth, I'm just starting to think that the same is going to happen again. And it has caused me quite a lot of anxiety, especially the last couple of weeks. It is starting to make me panic. But like I say, I'll go into a bit more detail about that when I talk about symptoms and things, you know, because I've had the same kind of symptoms as I had when I was pregnant with George. And if I keep looking down, I've got a little list, as always, here on my phone. That I have just somehow managed to delete. That's not very helpful. Perfect. Anyway. So moving on then to symptoms. So nausea has been really under control. It seems to like come and go in waves. First trimester, I went through a really difficult patch of being very, very unwell. And then also going into the second trimester, I also suffered a lot of nausea and vomiting as well. That seems to have eased a little bit, but the nausea seems to always definitely be there, like lingering around. And you know, depending on what I eat, sometimes it can make it worse. And if I eat things I can handle, then it doesn't seem to creep up. So nausea is always there. Exhaustion is still hitting me like a ton of bricks. I'm so tired all the time, and I feel like it's not just like general tiredness, it's like extreme fatigue. I'm exhausted. I can't seem to sleep at night, and I'll go into a bit more detail about that in a moment. But I think not sleeping at night, trying to be a mother of a toddler during the day, working, it's really taking it out of me. And I feel like the bigger I get and the further into the pregnancy I get, the more tired I'm getting. So I am sort of counting down the weeks until baby is here. And I know that once baby is here, I'm still probably not going to get as much sleep, but it's not going to be hopefully then due to pain and just feeling really crappy alongside it. So exhaustion is definitely still a big thing with this pregnancy. One of the reasons that I haven't been sleeping is really severe backache and leg pain. So I know there's something called pelvic girdle pain. I haven't really, learned too much about it. I haven't really spoke to my midwife about it as of yet, but I feel like perhaps that's what it could be the start of, or it's just where I'm getting so big here and it's starting to make my back and my legs really uncomfortable and sore. Back pain and the leg pain is there throughout the day, but obviously it's not as noticeable because we're doing things. I have a child, I'm working, walking around can help, etc. At night time, really struggling to actually find a position that is comfortable for me. So I would say that is probably the main reason that I'm not actually getting any sleep at the moment. I know there are things like pregnancy belts you can wear. I've been having really hot baths to try and just sort of ease the pain, which does help to some extent, but not as much as I need. And obviously the only thing you can really take is paracetamol, which sometimes doesn't really do anything. So I feel like that's just another thing we're just going to have to get through as pregnancy progresses. Two of the biggest symptoms then that I've been having that have started really getting quite intense, first of all, this over the last couple of weeks, is Braxton Hicks. Now, when I was pregnant with George, I started getting Braxton Hicks from around 20 to 21 weeks pregnant. And I know everyone has them. They're a normal thing. It's like your body's way of preparing your body for labour. And they call them sort of false or practice contractions. So they're not necessarily painful, but they are uncomfortable. And they do make your sort of stomach go really, really tight for a number of seconds, and then it releases. So it's similar to a contraction, but nowhere near the same. And with George, I had them for about 20 weeks, but I had them very, very frequent, but also had them very intensely as well. Now, obviously, George was born prematurely, and obviously there's no clue as to whether Braxton Hicks correlates the premature birth, and whether this time it's going to be the same again. But at exactly the same time I started getting them with George, lo and behold, with this pregnancy, around 21 weeks, I can't remember the exact date they started. I could probably look back through like my pregnancy diary and find it, but I started getting Braxton Hicks again, and they're very, very frequent. They are there every 10 minutes. It's not like it's worse any time of day. They're always happening. They're not painful. I would say some are more uncomfortable than others, but it's definitely not painful, but it is very, very uncomfortable. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, my stomach will just get really, really tight and hard for about 30 to 40 seconds, and then it just releases again, and that's it. And then it happens again every 10 minutes or so. And like I say, some are more intense than others. But it's that, and then alongside the lower back pain that then scares me. So I have had a few trips to triage, by advice of my own midwife, to just get checked out, just due to my previous history. And like I say, there's really no way of proving whether Braxton Hicks this intensely and frequently earlier on means that labour's going to come earlier. So it's really just, I guess, reassurance going in and getting checked out and just making sure the cervix is nicely closed, which it is at the moment. So really grateful for that. The last sort of symptom then that I've been having, like physical symptoms, was actually, it happened yesterday. I started losing a bit of my mucus plug. I know that sounds really gross, but mucus plug is like it's discharge. It's very different to normal discharge. So it's usually like a jelly, thick, sticky substance that is usually sometimes clear. It can sometimes have streaks of blood in it, which is typically called a show, and normally comes out before you have a baby. But mucus plug, it can come out throughout your pregnancy, and it does regenerate. But again, this is another big symptom that happened with George around a similar time. And like I say, he was born prematurely. So in my mind, putting the two together, I'm just convinced that this baby is going to come early. And I think I'm trying to mentally prepare myself that is what is going to happen, just in case, because otherwise it's going to cause me so much stress and anxiety that I just don't need. They're all my like physical symptoms, but like I said earlier, I have really been struggling with my mental health over the last sort of month or so, and I feel like that is because I had such a traumatic birth with George, and it wasn't severe. Like, he's fine, I'm fine, but unless you go through it, I feel like it's quite difficult to understand. And obviously everyone has their own experiences that they might find traumatic in life that other people wouldn't. But I did find it really, really traumatic, and I've never really sort of addressed it or dealt with it, so I never really managed to get over it, I think. And obviously George has got a few, not issues now, but he has got some delays in terms of speech and language, communication, etc., suspected ASD. And even though I physically know it's not my fault that I had him early, because it is my body that gave birth to him, I do feel partially responsible for that. So I do also feel a lot of guilt. So I feel like being pregnant again and getting to this sort of stage in the pregnancy, having the same similar symptoms that I had with George, it's starting to bring up all those memories again that I didn't deal with the first time, which is now causing me a lot more anxiety in this pregnancy. As I'm sure you are aware, with pregnancy, the last thing you need is getting anxious or stressed. So I'm trying to find ways to calm myself. I've been having meetings with a pregnancy counsellor, and we've been talking about the previous birth, which I think has helped, my options going forward, and just sort of a few sort of different learning and coping techniques as well as to how I can perhaps deal with these worries and emotions. And like I say, a few things that I'm trying to do to perhaps be a little bit more, I don't know, in control of how I feel. I'm, like I said earlier, I'm going to try and be prepared. So I'm planning on having my hospital bag packed by 30 weeks, which I know is early, but if baby does come early, I want to make sure that I've got stuff, not necessarily for baby, because I'm sure that early baby will be in NICU for some time, but you know, bits for me as well. And I just want to feel a bit more organised, but also I think I'm mentally preparing myself to have an early birth again, just so if it does happen, if my waters break, if I lose a lot of my plug, if I have a show, I then know. And if it does happen, I'm just going to be a lot more in control of it and probably a lot calmer. So that's how I've been feeling mentally. Hopefully it's going to improve as time goes on, but I feel like it's just going to get worse as the weeks go on. And I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a waiting game every week, thinking these are the same symptoms, labour's coming, just when is it going to happen? So yeah, it has not been the best in terms of my mental health, and I'm hoping it's going to improve, but probably not. But you know, I'm surrounded by people that love and care about me. I've got loads of people I can talk to. My midwife is great. I have a great team that are dealing with me in terms of like preterm consultants, midwives. So I'm going to be fine. It's just a way of learning how to control those emotions. And whilst we're on the topic then of speaking about appointments and things, I did have an appointment yesterday actually with the preterm labour team, and my consultant there, she is so lovely, but she's actually told me she's retiring next week. So there was another lady who was also a consultant in the room, and she was sort of getting to know my old doctor's patients to take over for handover, and she's just as lovely. But I had a scan on my cervix, and because they've been scanning my cervix every sort of 3 weeks or so to measure it to see if it's getting shorter. I think the shorter the cervix, the more likely you are to go into preterm labour. So when I went for my scan this week, my cervix has shortened again, not by a significant amount, but it has shortened. So they've asked me to now come back in 2 weeks' time to have another scan to see what the outcome is going to be then, and decide from there what they do. Now, usually they discharge patients from the preterm clinic at 24 weeks because technically you are viable, and this is kind of the point that they were trying to get you to, or at least be prepared to get to. But they've decided just to keep me on. I think one, because my cervix has got a little bit shorter, but two, because of my previous experience, it's just going to give me, I think, a bit of reassurance, and that's what I need, because otherwise stress is going to take over my body. It's something that I can't really control right now, and it's just reassurance, seeing the baby, seeing the cervix is closed, and you know, just knowing that everything's okay, really. And obviously with scans and things, she always does scan me at my preterm appointment. She doesn't have to. Usually she just scans the cervix, or that's what she's meant to do, but she always does scan my tummy so I can see baby. And yeah, she was really happy with how baby looks. Everything looks absolutely fine, and it's always an excuse for me to get to see little one as well. So we got to see baby as well yesterday. And that is pretty much it for the last sort of couple of weeks or so. I know a lot of this has been a bulk of my feelings and emotions and symptoms, etc. But I feel like it's quite an important thing to talk about. So sorry if it's been a little bit boring in terms of, I don't know, about how I'm feeling. But I know there probably are other people out there that are going through it as well. So it might come in handy to other people too. But that is everything then for the last sort of 3/4-ish weeks. Hopefully not too much is going to happen now over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully I'm going to have a nice smooth few weeks in terms of pregnancy, and I'll probably update you after my next preterm appointment and let you know what the update is from there. But before I go, I will show you my bump, because I feel like when I was watching pregnancy updates, that was almost my favourite part, and I feel like bump has definitely got bigger over the last couple of weeks or so. Like sometimes like bump isn't there, or it's just there, and then a week later you have like this full-blown bump in front of you, and I feel very, very heavy and big at the moment. But yes, I will show you my bump, but thank you so much for watching today's video. as I always say, like earlier, if you did enjoy it, please give it this video, a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as a viewer. And yeah, that's where I'm going to end today's video. So thank you for watching and take care. Okay, so I don't know how easy it is to see because I am wearing a dress today, but the dress is sort of quite fitted, so obviously that's my back there. But if I push this around then, bump is very much there at the moment. I feel very big, I feel very heavy. A lot of the pain I was saying I was having in my back is sort of like around here and my lower back, so I definitely think it is probably carrying this weight in the front of me that is causing me to have quite bad back and leg pain. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely rest of your day and I will see you in another video. Thank you, bye.